This is BBC Newsline. I'm Tara Mills. Tonight's headlines. A man appears in court charged with 2 counts of attempted murder following an attack on a pub in Armagh. This DUP MLA says he welcomes an investigation into whether a County Antrim hotel breached planning rules by taking in asylum seekers. The decision over whether a member of rap group Kneecap will stand trial for allegedly displaying a flag in support of Hezbollah has been postponed. Londonderry's historic city walls are the most vandalised monument in Northern Ireland.
You know, the walls is a monument to be embraced from the point of view that it's bringing lots of tourists in here. Bringing lots of tourists means bringing lots of revenue.
Police say members of minority ethnic groups and the elderly have been left in fear after recent antisocial behaviour in South Belfast.
What you have to see is that we're having patterns.
This is not the issue. The issue is just kids being a bit bored at the end of summer.
In sport, Rory Mroy says he will continue to enjoy the luxury of picking his own tournament schedule, even if that means missing more signature events.
And as we're halfway through the week, it's time to start thinking about the weekend. Bonus, it's a bank holiday weekend. I'll have the full forecast later.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday's programme. A man accused of throwing a petrol bomb at 2 people in a pub in Armagh on Monday night is alleged to have shouted "trick or treat" as he carried out the attack. 38-year-old John Patrick Nixon from Irish Street in the city has been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and a number of other offences. Lindsay Telford was in court.
This is the moment a man can be seen approaching the Toby Jug and lighting a petrol bomb before entering the pub with it. He then emerges and pulls what appears to be a large knife. He brandishes it as people flee the premises.
Newry Magistrates Court heard that John Patrick Nixon, who's accused of the attack, walked into the Toby Jug just before 9 o'clock on Monday night, shouted "trick or treat" and threw a lit petrol bomb at 2 people. A detective told the court that there had been other people in the bar at the time of the attack, including children who had been watching a football match and listening to trad music.
The officers said 2 casualties with significant burn injuries were reported. He also described how CCTV had captured much of the attack, including when the accused calmly walked away from the bar and then brandished what appeared to be a large knife while a number of people, including children, fled.
The court also heard how the same suspect is alleged to have smashed a number of windows at separate addresses earlier in the evening, as well as the windscreen of a vehicle, and that in separate CCTV footage he could be seen at a filling station putting just over £2 worth of petrol into what appeared to be a water bottle. John Patrick Nixon is charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, as well as arson, possession of a bladed weapon, and 3 counts of criminal damage. No application was made today for his bail, and he was remanded into police custody. He's due to appear before Armagh Court on the 2nd of September. Lindsay Telford, BBC Newsline at Newry Magistrates Court.
A County Antrim hotel is being investigated over alleged breaches of planning rules by taking in asylum seekers. The case is similar to one in England, where a local council got a legal injunction forcing a hotel to stop housing asylum seekers over planning laws. The DUP MLA Trevor Clark has welcomed the investigation being undertaken by Antrim and Newtownabbey Council. Gareth Gordon has more.
The Chimney Corner Hotel has been the target of protesters before. This one from a year ago attracted a large police presence. According to its website, the hotel is currently closed to the general public. But yesterday's court ruling in England, which granted a district council a temporary injunction to block asylum seekers from lodging at a hotel in Essex, throws the issue into sharp focus. This DUP MLA has asked Antrim and Newtownabbey Council whether any permission had been sought by the Chimney Corner's owners for a change of use. In response, the council said an enforcement investigation has commenced and the council has no further comment to make at this time.
Well, I certainly don't think that the public purse paying for hotels is appropriate. So if these people are genuinely running from war-torn countries, then disused army barracks sounds like a good option. Such would be much better than some of the countries that they're alleging to come from.
The TUV leader Jim Allister has written to all 11 councils here asking if there are any hotels in their area whose planning permission is for hotel use but are being used to house migrants, and if so, will they be taking legal action?
We have long raised concerns that hotels are wholly unsuitable for housing people, particularly families who are seeking asylum. But simply moving people on or pushing people out of hotels without a clear, safe and sustainable alternative, it really risks deepening the problem for them. So really what we're saying is that we need urgent investment, proper investment and appropriate accommodation for people rather than these sorts of challenges, which ultimately will leave very vulnerable people with nowhere left to live.
It's unclear at the moment how many hotel premises in Northern Ireland currently house asylum seekers. Gareth Gordon, BBC Newsline.
Well, Gareth is with me now. This is a developing story, Gareth. What's the latest?
I think it was obvious to everyone, Tara, that following the Essex judgment, the floodgates would essentially open now. As you saw in that report, Trevor Clark, first out of the blocks here in Northern Ireland in regards to Chimney Corner. We also learned that his DUP Assembly colleague Stephen Dunn has written to Ards and North Down Borough Council regarding the continuing use of the well-known Marine Court Hotel in Bangor. No one, he says, is above the law. But there's a recognition also that any legal action that may flow would take quite a long time, and perhaps long after many of the people housed in these hotels have moved on.
Do we know how many hotels are being used to house asylum seekers here?
Not quite clear, but according to the latest figures we have, which are Home Office figures from the end of last year, there were 15 hotels housing around 300 people. But all indications are that since then the direction of travel is downwards, not least because that is now government policy.
OK, Gareth, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Now, there were noisy scenes outside Westminster Magistrates Court today, where a member of the rap group Kneecap was appearing on a charge of allegedly supporting the proscribed group Hezbollah. Og Ohani, whose stage name is Mokhara, denies the charge and claims the case is political and intended to silence Kneecap. Hundreds of supporters, many waving Palestinian flags and placards, greeted the singer, who was accompanied by the two other members of the group. Our crime and justice correspondent Julian O'Neill was in London for us.
All three Kneecap band members arrived together and were instantly surrounded. Og Ohani, in the black baseball cap, was in the middle of the crowd as it inched to the door of Westminster Magistrates, where people squeezed inside. Hundreds had gathered at the court venue in support of Mr. Ohani, who goes by the stage name Mokhara, with the police imposing restrictions on where they could stand to minimise disruption.
I think we should start off with a huge build of us to give ourselves a round of applause and in favour and solidarity with the people of Palestine.
The 27-year-old Belfast man spoke to confirm his name, age and address, and during proceedings sat beside an Irish language translator. He's accused of allegedly displaying a flag in support of Hezbollah, a proscribed organisation in the UK, at a gig in London last year. His lawyer claimed the case should be thrown out as the charge was not brought within a required time limit of 6 months. But the court has reserved judgment on that issue until the next hearing.
Ladies and gents, Mokhara! I'll just say a few words here quickly. Thank you everybody for coming up. We appreciate it. Obviously it's great to see the support out here. We know this story is more than just about me. It's more than Kneecap. This is a story about Palestine and us as a distraction from the real story.
There were 3 hours of legal argument around this issue of whether there had been a technical error in the way in which the charge was brought. The Chief Magistrate, Paul Goldspring, adjourned the case until late September, and Og Ohani was released on unconditional bail until then. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline at Westminster Magistrates Court.
Now, they're one of our most famous landmarks, but it turns out Derry's walls are also the most vandalised monuments in Northern Ireland. Almost 200 incidents of vandalism have been recorded on the walls over the past 4 years. That's 65% of all incidents at historic monuments here. Our Northwest reporter Kieran Turish has more.
One of the most recent attacks on the city walls earlier this year. Young people filmed themselves paint bombing this section which overlooks the bogside. The Department for Communities say that between April 2021 and the same month this year, there have been 193 incidents recorded. The city walls now holds the unenviable title of the most vandalised monument in Northern Ireland.
The attacks can range, everything from promotional stickers on seats and bins and on the monument themselves, to kind of minor graffiti, people writing their names, to, I suppose, more serious stuff like paint bombs.
The walls, which were built in 1614, are hugely popular. They play host to a number of festivals and are regularly used for other community events.
This is still reenacted every year.
Several 100,000 tourists visit the walls each year, and today this group from Australia was saddened to hear about the destruction.
Why people can't value history and not try and change it is too bad.
The vandalism of the wall, I think, takes away the history that everybody could come and enjoy. So to vandalise something that's so beautiful and take away from everybody is very sad.
And educating, in particular, young people to, I suppose, learn and accept each other's differences and embrace, the walls as a monument to be embraced from the point of view that it's bringing lots of tourists in here. Bringing lots of tourists means bringing lots of revenue, and surely that is key to bringing peace to Northern Ireland, is economic stability.
It's clear that those involved in the promotion and protection of our historic monuments are deeply concerned about the level of vandalism. They hope that by raising awareness of it and focusing on it, that the level of destruction will ultimately decrease. Kieran Turish, BBC Newsline, Derry.
And there's more on this story on our website now, or you can download the BBC News app. Police say members of minority ethnic groups and elderly people have been left in fear after antisocial behaviour in South Belfast. The PSNI say youths have been gathering on Donegal Pass over the past few days, throwing items at passers-by. But the DUP MLA for the area, Edwin Poots, has said there is no evidence that it was targeted towards people of other communities. He said he will be writing a complaint to the PSNI for demonising the community there. Rory O'Reilly reports.
It was along here on Donegal Pass over the last 2 days that police say youths have been throwing bottles, cans and water balloons at members of the public. One man was knocked off his scooter and a vulnerable young woman was left extremely distressed. Police also say members of ethnic minority communities have been targeted and they've been left afraid and unwelcome in the area.
When a community sees one set of incident that is happening in East Belfast, another set of incident that is happening in South Belfast, another set of incident that is happening in Ballymena, another set of incident that would have happened in South Belfast last year, what you do is that you although their causes and their relationship may seem disparate, what you have to see is that we're having patterns.
But some unionist politicians in the area have criticised the PSNI for their choice of language and said the situation has been blown out of proportion.
I'm writing a complaint to the PSNI, totally unnecessary. This community is about a third ethnic minority, and for the police to demonise the community and for then the media to demonise the community, it's entirely wrong. This is not the issue. The issue is just kids being a bit bored at the end of summer.
In a statement, the PSNI said, "We are appealing to those young people themselves. This may seem like harmless fun. However, we are actively investigating reports of assaults and public order offences." We do not wish to criminalise young people, but this must always be balanced against our duty to keep the public safe and to investigate offences reported to us. Rory O'Reilly, BBC Newsline, South Belfast.
The second quarter of this year was the busiest period for house building in Northern Ireland since 2018, with work started on more than 2,000 new homes. Around 48,000 households in Northern Ireland are currently on a social housing waiting list. Part of the problem has been a widening gap between housing demand and the rate of construction. The limited supply of housing means prices have continued to rise, with the average house price here around £185,000. Now, optometrists in Northern Ireland say they're frustrated that children here, unlike other parts of the UK, can't use their NHS vouchers to help pay for myopia treatment. Myopia, or short-sightedness, is extremely common, affecting around 1 in 3, including Danny here. The Department of Health says the evidence is not yet sufficient to support funded use. Julie McCulloch reports.
Rounder and clearer with window 3 or 4.
4. 13-year-old Danny was diagnosed with myopia when he was 7 years old. Up until recently, there was little Kilkeel-based optometrist Faith Donaldson could do to stop his sight worsening. She could only help him to see better. But now treatment for the condition is available.
We can now slow down the progression of myopia. So it simply means that instead of children coming, getting new glasses, coming back for review in maybe 6 or 12 months and needing stronger glasses, we can slow that right down. So we're seeing children coming back in 6 months, in a year, and there really is little or no change in their prescription. And again to your left and to your right.
Danny has seen the difference the treatment can make with his own eyes. He started wearing contact lenses to treat myopia 3 years ago.
My next eye test after I got on the contacts the first time, you noticed there was quite a big stop or little to no difference.
Perfect. Swap over and we'll try the other eye.
D-U-H.
But at the moment, children like Danny are prohibited from using their NHS vouchers towards the cost of the treatment.
A pair of glasses that treats myopia and a pair of glasses that helps you see don't look terribly different. The biggest difference is the NHS will give you money towards these, but won't give you money towards these.
If that child was in another part of the UK, that voucher can be used towards myopia management solution. So we just feel it's frustrating that we can't use it here in Northern Ireland, and we feel there should be a change so that the voucher can be used.
Danny's contacts cost around £30 a month. His mum thinks not being able to use the voucher towards that puts families here at a disadvantage.
That could make the difference in another household out there of opting into the myopia management or having to say, no, I'm sorry, I just can't do that. And I think that is just so unfair.
I asked the Department of Health why children here aren't allowed to use their vouchers towards myopia treatment the way they are in other parts of the UK. It said it continues to monitor the situation and examine the available evidence, but that the evidence is not yet sufficient to support funded use as part of health and social care provision. Julie McCulloch, BBC Newsline.
Time for sport now, and Rory Mroy says he will continue to set his own schedule through the golfing calendar. Nicola McCarthy is here. Hi, Nicola.
Good evening, Tara. Yes, Rory speaking to the media today. Good evening, everyone. Rory McIlroy has said he will continue to take advantage of the luxury of picking his own tournament schedule, even if it means missing more signature events. The world number 2 is behind only American Scotty Scheffler in the FedEx Cup standings before the final PGA Tour event of the year tomorrow in Atlanta. McIlroy has skipped 3 signature events this year, as well as the first playoff tournament, the FedEx St. Jude Championship.
Yeah, look, I'll always look at the schedule at the start of the year and see what best fits me and my life and everything else that I sort of do, whether it's with family or other opportunities that I'm pursuing outside of golf. So I'll always look at that, but yeah, you know, I'll always choose a schedule that best fits me, and this year that meant skipping a few signature events. I might skip less next year, and I might skip the same amount, I don't know, but you know, it's all just, you know, the luxury of being a PGA Tour player is we are free to pick and choose our schedule for the most part, and you know, I took advantage of that this year, and I'll continue to take advantage of that for as long as I can.
Now, after a difficult week in which they parted company with their manager, Lauren got a useful point away to Cliftonville last night, and interim boss Gary Haverin, he's not ruling out trying to get the job on a permanent basis. Gavin Andrews rounds up all of last night's Irish Premiership action, starting at Solitude.
Lauren started life under interim boss Gary Haverin in fine style at Solitude, courtesy of Tiernan O'Connor.
What a goal! That is beautiful.
A missed penalty and a Joe Gormley equaliser took the shine off Haverin's opening night, but he's keen to see what's possible moving forward.
You know, I suppose it'll determine by results over the next few weeks and seeing how much I can get out of the players that we have. I think we've got an unbelievable squad of players. We've got so much talent. There's 8-9 players that we don't have available to us who are all potentially starters for our team. And when they are coming back slowly but surely, when we get our full team back in that day, I think we'll take some stopping.
Well, no one can stop Glentoran at the moment. The East Belfast side eased to a comfortable win at the Oval against Glenavon. Jordan Stewart headed them in front, and they sealed the win and their place at the top of the table late in the game. Charlie Lindsay with the pass, Jordan Jenkins with a cool finish. Ballymena United are also unbeaten, and they've done it on the road. Ben Kennedy set them on their way to a 2-0 win at Portadown. Jack O'Reilly's brilliant individual effort was a fitting end to a satisfying evening for the manager.
I'm delighted the amount of hard work and effort they've put in on the training pitch in pre-season, and you know, this is a really hard venue to come and get anything. It's 2 games away from home and 6 points, 2 clean sheets, so I'm absolutely delighted for the boys.
21-year-old Fraser Bryden is enjoying life in the Irish League. Bangor were on the receiving end as Crusaders picked up their first victory of the campaign.
It's an eventful game to say the least. Delighted to come away with the 3 points, which is the most important thing. It's a tough place to come by, and we know that, and obviously even better to get my first professional hat-trick, so happy night.
The standout strike on a busy night of games came at the Coleraine Showgrounds. Jamie Glacken's acrobatics emphatically wrapped up a 2-0 win against Dungannon Swifts. Gavin Andrews, BBC Newsline.
The Ireland women's rugby team are preparing in their camp in Northampton for their opening game at the Rugby World Cup finals in England. They face Japan on Sunday at Franklin's Gardens before matches against Spain and world champions New Zealand. Front row veteran Clena Maloney-MacDonald, she's told me that this tournament will represent a massive step for women's rugby.
It's going to be a watershed moment for women's sport, and we all know that. And credit where it's due to England and the RFU. They were always going to make this the best World Cup to date, and I have no doubt that it will be. And it'll hopefully change the women's game. It'll change the course of the women's game for good, I think, and that's a really exciting prospect.
Ireland with a bit of momentum. Ireland, are they over? It looks like they are. And I think it's Maloney.
How do you see the group? How do you see these 3 teams? And obviously we know, Clena, that if you win those first 2 against Japan and Spain, you have a quarter-final spot even before the world champions New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Definitely having New Zealand in your group is difficult, and it's not only is it an emotional challenge, it's probably a physically daunting challenge, and they do have this aura about them, particularly at World Cups. There's no denying that. They're an exceptional team. They've got an exceptional record. But I think we can feel confident in that we have played them at an international tournament before and beaten them fair and square. So we'll take huge confidence from that, but then we've also played Japan at the World Cup, and they've proved really difficult actually. And they're a very interesting team to have first. Like, I think that's going to probably be a cracker of a game. And that's where we will see how we're tracking for, I think, the other 2 games.
The Ireland women's cricket team have won their opening game at the T20 World Cup qualifying tournament in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. They had a comfortable victory against Germany, winning by 10 wickets. The Germans were bowled all out for 62, Laura Delaney taking a career-best 4 wickets for 9 runs. And Ireland then reached their target of 63 for victory within 8 overs of the reply. Amy Hunter top scoring with 31 not out. A very good start for the team, and Ireland will take on the host, the Netherlands, at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in their next qualifying game. That's the sport this evening. Tara.
Nicola, thank you very much. Portaferry looking lovely today. It's been good weather to be out on the water recently, Cecilia.
Yes, it's been pretty settled. There's been an easterly breeze today, though, which was quite keen along the east coast. This is Strangford, but it was in the east where we had the best of our sunshine today. I'm going to take you across the other side of the Atlantic, though, to the tropical waters of the Caribbean, because that's where Hurricane Erin currently is. It's a significant hurricane. I think it's a Category 4. It's going to stay a hurricane through to the beginning of next week. Then, as it starts to come westwards, eastwards, across the colder waters of the Atlantic, it won't impact Ireland's weather directly, but it may mean that things change to more unsettled conditions during next week. But the dry story continues in the meantime. Some sunshine in places this evening. Clear skies edging westwards should mean a slightly cooler night in many places. Temperatures in single digits, possibly as low as 5 or 6 degrees somewhere like Kate's Bridge. So a cooler, fresher start tomorrow may actually feel slightly autumnal, but it will be another largely dry day and probably the best of the sunshine in the morning. I think it could turn quite cloudy in many places in the afternoon. There's a small chance of a shower in Donegal, but most places will be dry. We'll lose that chilly breeze along the east coast, and inland temperatures should hit 20 or 21 degrees, which is still pretty good for this stage of August. Tomorrow night should be dry. Clouds will come and go. The wind changes direction. It moves into the northwest, and temperatures will generally be a little bit higher than this coming night. Then moving on to Friday, the last day of the working week, it's largely dry across the island of Ireland, but there will be a lot of cloud at times with less in the way of sunshine, but most places seeing some sunshine and temperatures still pretty much where they should be for this time of year. So let's look ahead then to the weekend. We are going to change the wind direction again, and I'm talking about the wind direction quite a lot, mainly because it does influence where we see our higher temperatures. So as it moves into the southeast over the weekend, it means places like the north coast, for example, will have some higher temperatures into the low 20s. And that's pretty good news for Bank Holiday Monday, which is, of course, Lammas Fair at Ballycastle. So some good news for the weekend.
Great. Cecilia, thank you very much. That's it for now. Our late news is at 10:30. From everyone on the team, thanks for watching. Have a good night if you can. Bye-bye. I think that was Penny the couple.